Last week, a basketball player named Jason Collins made history when he became the first pro athlete in a major American team sport to publicly reveal he's gay. Collins says he didn't want to hide anymore.
Tonight, one of the most talented athletes the Richmond area has ever produced tells CBS 6 he's been keeping the same secret, but is finally ready to come out. He spoke exclusively with our sports director, Lane Casadante. Lane?
Bill, there's no telling how many gay athletes have been or will be inspired by Collins' courage and sincerity, but we do know of one who now joins that conversation and who hopes to be something of an inspiration himself. A warning before the story, some of the language used may be inappropriate for some viewers. It's hard because you know it's like battling yourself. It eats at you in a way that, I mean, it's like its own cancer. He has won championships at every level of competition. High school, college, and professionally. And he's carried a secret each step of the way. If I'm lucky. Kevin Grayson is one of the most decorated football players Central Virginia has ever seen. And he happens to be gay. People didn't believe it because I was an athlete. They're like, Kevin plays football, he runs track, he does basketball. Like, no way, you know. And those are the type of things where I say, you know, if I could go back and say, well, why can't I be an athlete? You know, why can't I be a star player? Why can't I be, you know, the guy making plays that helps my team win and still, you know, on the flip side, be a gay male? Grayson was named All-District and All-Region while playing both offense and defense at L.C. Byrd High in Chesterfield. In college, he helped the Richmond Spiders win the national title in 2008.
Flea flicker. Ward wants it all with Grayson. Pulls it in. Touchdown.
And while playing professionally last year in Italy, he was named MVP of his league's Super Bowl. But his sexuality remained hidden from many of his coaches and all but a handful of trusted teammates, largely because of the culture that exists in America's favorite sport.
Do you think there are gay players in the NFL right now?
No doubt.
Do you know any?
Do. I've known some. I've met some, but it's kind of one of those things when you meet someone and you find out about something, it's one of those things it's kind of you take to the grave type thing.
You probably heard just about everything in the book from people who had no idea.
And it's just watching film. You know, it's like, stop being a princess, stop being a faggot, you know, homo. While you're in the football aspect of it, you know, no one's really thinking about it. Hyper-masculine sport. You know, you have coaches that are just kind of, I guess, naive to the fact that they could have a gay player in their meeting.
Stratosferico Kevin Grayson, che riporta in touchdowns.
A couple times I laughed at it. You know, I thought it was funny to think about whether or not if I told this coach, what would they say?
She's got them sharp teeth, too.
But it never really crossed Grayson's mind to come out before now. Not because he was embarrassed, but because his focus was on school and football, and any distraction would have put a spotlight on the entire team, one that Grayson wasn't willing to shine. You don't want to be the focus in that way. Not to say that it's a negative, but when you have people just asking questions about, you know, your sexuality and how teammates are taking it, takes away from the importance of the preseason. If you are an athlete, you want to be an athlete. You want to be known for what you've done on the basketball court, football field, tennis court, whatever. You don't want to be that person who it's always the gay athlete.
It's an intense burden, and it's a huge burden for people.
Dr. Letitia Flores is a clinical psychologist at VCU, specializing in issues of sexual and gender identity. She explained that some gays and lesbians spend much of their day trying to remember who might know about their sexuality, trying to guess how their friends, family, and co-workers might react. For athletes, and male athletes particularly, the stress can be compounded by society's perception of how they are supposed to behave.
Male athletes are seen to be very masculine, very macho, a guy's guy. And people's stereotypes or biases about gay men is that they are the opposite of a guy's guy.
It's that extra pressure that you can't even remotely show something that would lead someone to suspect you. So it makes it 10 times harder.
Some of that pressure was relieved when Grayson chose to confide in a few trusted teammates, some of whom he found out were also gay, and none of which shunned or turned their back on him. Now he is sharing his story with everyone, not only for the release for himself, but to hopefully inspire others hiding behind one too many masks.
There's clearly a relief, and that relief comes from finally being themselves. And we call it, in the psych jargon, being authentic. But you're who you are, and you don't have to wear the mask anymore.
It's like the biggest weight lifted off your shoulder to know that you have a teammate that, basically says, I don't care. Just because you're gay doesn't mean you can't be the athlete you want to be. Doesn't mean you can't be a star. Doesn't mean you can't go out there and go just as hard as anybody else, if not harder.
And photographer Brad Wilson was the man behind the camera for this story. Grayson added that he could not have gotten through all of this without some incredible support from his family and friends. And he wants anyone who might be going through some of the same things and watching tonight to know that it's important to reach out and find your particular support. And that goes for anybody, athlete or not.
This has got to help a lot of people, Lane. You hear so much about the atmosphere in the locker room. Did he say if he was ever made to feel uncomfortable?
Never. And it was funny because he mentioned that when a coach would use a slur or an inappropriate word, he would almost laugh at it because he got into that football mentality. And it was only after he got back to his dorm room or back home that he realized, maybe I should have been offended by that. And it that builds up after a while, and it would just take one little thing to make him snap, and then he would have to bring himself back.
Is his playing career over?
No, he may go and play in Italy professionally again. He also is looking at the Canadian Football League. So he would like to play maybe one more year or two professionally.
Best of luck to him. Thank you.